Evening, folks. We're on the phone tonight because for some reason my little iCam camera hasn't switched on. That would be bad if that goes off. Anyway, tonight we're talking about the Cremona Quartet Remix Competition. Cremona, am I pronouncing that right? Cremona. So this is on a site called metapop.com. I don't know if you folks may have seen this out there. This is remix list number 256. There's obviously quite a few remix contests. This site is new to me. I mean, it's based around this new Cremona Quartet native instruments library, which is about kind of old sort of stringed instruments, violins and cellos. And I'll put the link to the competition in my description. But like old violins, like built centuries ago by master luthiers. So obviously they've sampled a lot of old instruments and sort of created this native instruments library. And if you go to the website, you'll see the rules. But create a remix over 1 minute 30. Have legal rights to use the sounds. Obviously, use elements of at least 2 string stems provided. Be prepared to share your project files. Only 1 entry per person. So those are the rules. So they supply you a MIDI file, and I think there's like 3 like violin sounding stems. There's some cello and a couple of violins and a piano stem, and the whole piece is about 1.5 minutes long. So obviously they want something a little bit longer than that, and they haven't said a maximum duration. Send them something 3 hours long. Don't do that, or do that. I've got the MIDI file and the stems uploaded in my Reaper project. What the MIDI file will give you is the tempos, and the tempos are all over the place. It starts at kind of 71 and 71.115 BPM, and then it moves down to 67.45 and 77 point something, then 63, then 65. So the tempo is basically doing this kind of thing. But they give you the MIDI file and they give you audio stems as well. So I guess there's some choices how you could deal with them. You could add instruments. Obviously, they're saying you must use at least 2 of the stems they're providing. So it's one, maybe a couple of the string lines, or there's a piano line and one of the string lines. So I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I think the fact that the tempo is changing a lot is kind of, maybe that's where I get my inspiration from. So I'm thinking about sort of messing with the playback speeds of some of these stems. That's the initial idea. And just so you can hear, so I've got the monitors on, so because obviously we're on the phone. So this is one of the violin, I think it's a violin, stems, just played quite a lot slower. I think I've got some pitch effects going on there as well. Seems a bit tinny now I hear it out of the monitors, so there's things we could do with EQ. Okay, now you hear the reverb kick in with the higher pitch notes. Reverb. That's noisy. Sorry, I've got the bass guitar on. I mean, partly I think that in itself could be fine. You could submit that, but then the rules are use at least 2 stems. So yeah, but that's what I'm thinking anyway. I mean, I don't want to give all my my secrets away, because obviously this is a competitive competition, as opposed to a what, Mark? But yeah, so that's where I'm now. So yeah, messing with the time. Why would I be interested in that, I wonder? The advantage of this mug, it's bigger on the inside. There's a gallon of coffee in there. So I'm going to work on this for the rest of the evening and see where we end up. Apparently I've got 28 days. We're coming towards the end of October now. It's 24th of October today. The deadline is 19th of November, so I've got a fair old crack. And if you're watching this sort of about nowish, you know, if you want to enter the competition as well, you got until sort of, 19th of November to get your entry in, and you can win stuff. You can win Complete 13 Ultimate, which I imagine is like every Native Instruments piece of software. That must be gigabytes. What's that, like 20 gigabytes of content? Runners up get a Cremona Quartet instrument, and third place you get a Stradivari violin, which I think is one of their sample instruments based on a Stradivarius. So that's worth a crack, isn't it? Anyway, cheers, folks. This Cremona Remix Competition. I've got a sort of a remix of the stems I'm pretty happy with. But I thought I'd put a little bit of a sort of, not prelude, but like a bit of an intro thing. Like the rules seem to be you have to use a couple of the stems, but it doesn't say you can't add new stuff. So I found one of my father's old clocks, you see that behind me there, which has a really interesting kind of sounding mechanism behind it, which I thought would be interesting to sample and then try and incorporate that into the piece. Let's take a look. Let's just open the back door here. So let's use my little pointer. So when I opened it, I found this thing dangling down, which I guess is the pendulum. Sort of beautiful. I don't know if that's bronze or it's quite heavy. Brass, probably brass, or brass plated steel. I don't know whether you can. Well, you can obviously see these kind of, I guess you'd call them tines, which are then sounded with these hammers. And then you can see there's a little sort of arm here that lifts up these two hammers, then sound down. But you can sort of play it manually, just with your fingers. So you can just hit those tines kind of manually. It's a nice sort of elegant setup. It's sort of this whole thing just sort of screwed into the bottom of the clock, and I guess all the mechanics of the clock. Every half an hour, every hour, they would sound one or all of these chimes. I mean, there's pretty an old sort of cog mechanism there. So there's perhaps there's a sound every half hour and every hour. This may be different. It uses the different tines and different hammers. Not entirely sure. So I don't. You can feel these cogs go around a bit. I don't know whether you can hear that. But I don't want to force anything because I don't want to break it. I mean, I don't even know if this would run. I don't have a winding key for it or anything. Probably needs attention of a professional. But yeah, just this little piece. I do like these little sounding chimes or tines, whatever you call them. So I'm going to see what I can do with those for a little sort of addition to this piece I'm working on.